All right, we had this draft for the GFL this past week, and I can't believe it that this sport is attached to regular seasons and playoffs and drafts. But here we are while we cover MMA. That's what GFL did to us. First impression, Nolan, from the draft, the crew that they had, there with Caroline Pierce and Brendan Schaub and
Robin
Mike
Black,
Goldberg.
bro, don't forget.
Who?
Robin Black
as well, yeah. And then Mike Goldberg making his return. But early first impressions of what you saw from the draft and everything, Nolan, go ahead.
Two things. One, tremendous skepticism still. I think we've seen every step of the way where it seems like there's just a lot of bad feels I get from the whole thing, right? I mean, drafting fighters that are fighting for PFL the next day, or putting them in the draft, fighters that are fighting for PFL the next day, drafting people that say that they've never even been under contract or signed anything with the organization. The fact that these purses that we're hearing are, again, great. I'm happy that people get paid, but they need to actually have money come through in order to get paid. So I don't know where this money's coming from. We don't have dates yet. So it's just, again, we could go down the laundry list of all the things that are red flags in this industry. Now, with that being said, they did a tremendous job of catching everybody's attention. Like, I think everybody on social media was talking about this. People are still talking about it. So on the off chance that this does follow through for a year and they are able to pay all the athletes, I think it will be pretty interesting. I mean, they have a lot of names that, sure, there's some guys that we probably would agree that shouldn't be fighting anymore, and I don't think that's good. But there are a lot of bigger name free agent veterans that didn't really have a place to go before this because of their, the pay that they would want and just kind of the opportunities that were out there. So I'm rooting for this. I hope it does well. I just still think at this point in time, we don't have enough evidence until the checks start clearing. We start getting fights booked. There stops being fighters that come out and say that they haven't even heard about this and they're being featured on graphics and whatnot. Also, one of the biggest red flags is Dylan Dennis signing to the promotion. I mean, he's never going to fight for them, right? So again, I hope it works out. I'm rooting for it. It's nice to see MMA fighters get paid boxing money. But again, until this thing gets rolling and fighters start saying that everything's all good, I will have just a innate level of skepticism when it comes to this.
Mike, I want to get a reactions from you as well. The direction GFL's headed, all that stuff, but just how about the fact that, reminded me of somebody being on Monday Night Raw and then the next day on WCW Nitro. Chris Weidman, retire. Holly Holm, retire. Boom, they're over here. Tony Ferguson, he gets snatched out. No announcement there. I don't think Clay Guida snuck in under the wire. Uriah Faber was also winding up on one of the teams. Mike, what'd you think of all that?
Yeah, Chad Mendez. We do like a yearly retirement listicle on MMA Junkie. We're going to have to do an unretirement listicle for 2025 with all these guys because it's just absurd, the names. I mean, the Chris Weidman one was outrageous. He's on a UFC broadcast a week before on the weigh-in show. They bring in freaking all the coaches, Ray Longo, Aljamain Sterling, have all these guys set up doing this nice stuff and this nice send off to make it a special moment for Chris. And then 7 days later he appears. And I know the people are out there are going to be like, he said it's a UFC retirement, not an MMA retirement. I mean, how many times have we seen the UFC kind of let people go who they're very clear going to keep fighting and they don't honor them in this way? My impression is they thought he was done, and that's why they kind of gave this to him. But I guess just an overall thought, Nolan said most of it. My biggest fear going into this is I think we can all agree there's a lot of fighters on here that do not need to be taking any more damage or fighting anymore. Yeah. But maybe we are okay with it because of the numbers that are being promised. And you could say, hey, I'm okay with this guy fighting once or more, twice more, because this money that's being promised is so significant. Maybe they need this at this point in their career. But if they don't get paid and some stuff goes backwards with the financials, it's going to really upset me if some of these athletes go in there, put another training camp, another fight on their body, and then don't reap the rewards that are promised here. That would be, I think, the most devastating situation to see some of these people take more damage when it is so unnecessary and then not get that huge retirement reward or financial reward that's coming from these. So that's my biggest concern as we sit here right now with no knowledge or insight or confidence on when an event's going to happen, how many of these people will fight on it, what type of matchups are going to be constructed. So many questions, so many uncertainties. But in the perfect world, if you could, as we go through the roster here, put together the best possible fights or the most familiar names with some of these things, you can get 3-4 pretty strong cards out of this. So we'll see if we get to that point. Right now, I have no freaking idea.
Danny, you probably had a chance to look at the rosters. Any team jump out at you? I'm LA. I'm an LA guy, but I'm not trying to be impartial. But I thought they had a strong team.
No, I got to go with Miami. You know, I think that team's probably the most interesting one. Plus, Roelis de Spain, who I actually saw fight over the weekend at Karate Combat 52 and picked up another quick knockout. I think the UFC kind of made a mistake in cutting him after 2 defeats. Like, yeah, he has some glaring holes in terms of like his game and stuff like that. But like, you know, in the heavyweight division, you don't really need like super high level grappling. Like, I think just some work over the course of a year and some good matchmaking, and you can get a lot out of this guy. I think he's very promising. He's got insane knockout power. Like, these guys just can't stand with him more than 30 seconds. And you got also, he's paired with a few other Cubans there, Joel Romero, who still has some gas in the tank, and Hector Lombard. I like that team. So, you know, I got to rep 305 always.
Any matchups you guys like? You know, we don't know a schedule. All we know is they're coming in April, but did you see any names connected or any names that you thought you could connect and say, okay, I'd like to see that fight? Nolan, Mike, anybody?
Weidman, Rockhold too, I guess.
Okay. It's not bad.
It's nice. Was Lorenz Larkin drafted, right? Did I
Yeah.
see him again?
Yeah.
Guys like
He had
that,
a nice,
I can, you know,
some
I
nice
can get
KOs
behind.
on the way out of Bellator.
Yeah. Yeah. And Yoel too. I mean, Yoel's almost 50. I don't know how much he has left in the tank, but he's not like, I wouldn't put him in the category of like, I'm concerned about this guy fighting. Like, I think there could be a fun fight or two that they would have with him too. Those sort of names are probably the ones that I'm most excited about.
I want to see Dos Santos and Verdum again without gloves like they did at Masvidal's deal. Yeah, a lot of older fighters.
Don't book Shogun, please. That's the one person I really don't want to see fight.
He's a manager. Wait, no, he's actually fighting. No, never mind.
Yeah, I know. Lyoto Machida drafted him as the team manager, and I kind of tweeted out maybe this is the revenge for taking his title.
Jesus.
Hanan Baral's name popped up as well. I could have sworn he didn't have the best exit either.
It's funny because he's actually still kind of young. He must be like 34 or something.
Oh, really?
Let's get some Cowboy Oliveira in there.
Yeah, Cowboy Oliveira's in there as well.
True.
Yeah. I mean, Antonio Carlos Jr. is a weird one because I heard he's supposed to be in PFL's upcoming tournament. So I don't really know. I mean, how many of these people are actually going to fight? We already saw the Rashad Evans gong show where, you know, he said he's never signed. He's signed up to fight a boxing match with Rampage, and then they did an updated graphic without his name on there. So I don't know, man. Like, until we actually see an event scheduled and a bout order given, I don't know how many of these names I actually trust are going to legitimately fight for them.
We'll give them this. Their draft popped because the name value was there. We'll wait until April, or if any information comes out, Darren Owen, I believe is the guy's name. If he wants to do an interview and clarify some stuff, we'd love to have him on. But yeah, all we always hope for is fighters to get paid, a safe, healthy environment. You know, no one gets screwed over, and for there to be options for fighters. But man, some of these fighters, I think we all felt like it just was their time to hang it up. So we'll see. All right,
give me Roelis versus JDS.
Robelis de Spain against JDS.
Yeah,
I'm in. I like that one.